Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Radha Madhava ki Sri Radha Giridhari ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Jaya Shuddha Srimad His Divine Grace Vaicharana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Jaya Shuddha Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Shranta Saraswati Goswami Mahārāja Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Karantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Sam Veda Bhakti ki Jai Go Bhaimanandi All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, ceasing Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Staya Murali Shrimati Bhakti Gauravani Vatacharini Nivashesha Shanyavadi Vasyadyadesh. Could you open that door a little bit, Prabhu? Just give it a more area. Just push that one side open and that down. Water here. I had a dream about giving class last night. Two things I remember. I was chanting the synonyms very, very slowly. It was in the dream. And they took the chair away from me and I sat on a mat. That's why I remember those two things in the dream. So let's see what happens today. Okay. So this morning we're reading from the Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 1st chapter. This is text number 35. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dihendriyasu Hinanam Vaikunta Pura Vasinam Deha Sambandha Sambadham Etad Akyatam Arhasi Dihendriyasu Hinanam Vaikunta Puravasinam Deya Sambandha Sambandham Etad Akyatum Arhasi Dehendriyasu Hinanam Vaikunta Puravasinam Deha Sambandha Sambandham Etad Akyatum Arhasi Dehendriyashu Hinanam Vaikunta Puravasinam Deha Sambandha Sambandham Etad Akyatum Arhasi. Would like to chant?
Deha Sambandha Sambandham Etad Akyatum Arhasi Dehendriyasu Hinanam Vaikunta Puravasinam Deha Sambandha Sambandham Etad Akyatum Arhasi
Dehendriyasu Hinanam Vaikunta Puravasinam Deha Sambandha Sambadham Etad Akyatum Arhasi Dehendriyasu Hinanam Vaikunta Puravasinam
Would you like to chant?
Dehendriyasu Hinanam
Vaikunta Puravasinam Deya Sambandha Sambandham Etad Akyatum Arhasi. Deha, of a material body. Indriya, material senses. Asu, life breath. Hinanam, of those devoid. Vaikunta Pura, of Vaikunta. Vasinam, of the residents. Deha Sambandha, in a material body. Sambadham, bondage. Etat, this. Akyatum, arhasi, please describe. Okay, translation. The bodies of the inhabitants of Vaikuntha are completely spiritual, having nothing to do with the material body, senses, or life air. Isn't that a wonderful body to have? Those were the days, right? Therefore, kindly explain how associates of this personality of Godhead were cursed to descend in material bodies like ordinary persons. Purport. This very significant question would be difficult for an ordinary person to answer. But Narada Muni, being an authority, could answer it. Therefore, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira inquired from him, saying, Etad akyatum arhasi. Only you can explain the reason. From authoritative sources, it can be discerned that associates of Lord Vishnu who descend from Vaikuntha do not actually fall. They come with the purpose of fulfilling the desire of the Lord, and their descent to this material world is comparable to that of the Lord. The Lord comes to this material world through the agency of his internal potency. And similarly, when a devotee or associate of the Lord descends to this material world, he does so through the action of the spiritual energy. Any pastime conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is an arrangement by Yogamaya, not Mahamaya. Therefore, it is to be understood that when Jaya and Vijaya descended to this material world, they came because there was something to be done for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, it is a fact that no one falls from Vaikuntha. Of course, a living entity who desires Sayuja Mukti remains in Krishna's Brahman effulgence, which is dependent on Krishna's body, Brahmanohi Pratishtaham. Such an impersonalist who takes shelter of the Brahman effulgence must surely fall down. This is stated in the Shastra, as quoted by Dravida Prabhu in class yesterday, and he gave his dramatization of this verse also, I remember. Yene ravindakshe vimukti maninas tvaishtabhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruya karchena parampadam tada patantyato nadirida yushmad angraya. O Lord, the intelligence of those who think themselves liberated but who have no devotion is impure. Even though they rise to the highest point of liberation by dint of severe penances and austerities, they are sure to fall down again into material existence, for they do not take shelter at your lotus feet. Unquote. The impersonalists cannot reach the Vaikuntha planets to become associates of the Lord, and therefore, according to their desires, Krishna gives them Sayuja Mukti. However, since Sayuja Mukti is partial Mukti, they must fall again to this material world. When it is said that the individual soul falls from Brahmaloka, this applies to the impersonalists. From authoritative sources, it is learned that Jaya and Vijaya were sent to this material world to fulfill the Lord's desire to fight. The Lord also sometimes wants to fight, but who can fight with the Lord but a very confidential devotee of the Lord? Jaya and Vijaya descended to this world to fulfill the Lord's desire. Therefore, in each of their three births, first as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, second as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and third as Shishupal and Dantavakra, the Lord personally killed them. In other words, these associates of the Lord, Jaya and Vijaya, descended to the material world to serve the Lord by fulfilling his desire to fight. Otherwise, as Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira says, Ashradeha ivabhati. The statement that a servant of the Lord could fall from Vaikuntha seems unbelievable. How Jaya and Vijaya came to this material world is explained by Narada Muni as follows. And we continue on with the whole story after this. So, Omagyan Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Minitam Nena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shvabadandikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakapatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Mevacha Patidanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. By your good wishes and blessings, I'll try to say a few things. And so Prabhupada is beginning the purport by saying that one has to approach the proper authority if one wants to get the right information. You sometimes say this is the age of information, right? Yeah, it's the misinformation age, actually. It's a symptom of Kali Yuga that, and God bless the internet for exploding the misinformation. Or actually mis in the sense of two things, wrong and just completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. 99.9% of our time and people's time is spent by filling their heads with completely unnecessary information as far as materially and spiritually, right? Materially and spiritually. It's not that we know that the goal of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. Many people know that. And that should be the information we fill our head with most of the time. It's the most important. It should be on the top of the list. And even maintaining our material situation in this world, it's important, but it's not as important. But on top of that, people fill their heads with so many things that are completely unnecessary and useless and just a real time waster, right? Right? I remember someone was telling me that someone went for a job interview, and when the person told him that, you're very, very qualified, but the thing is we don't allow people to go on their cell phones at work. She said, I can't take the job. You see that all the time. People are at work, say the construction worker, anyone, and they're on the cell phone. So it is distraction, right? The great weapons of distraction. And just, wait a second, you're working for me and you're spending hours a day, on your own social life and so on the cell phone when no one's looking. Like that. My sister's a civil engineer for septic systems. Talk about a nectarian job in rural Massachusetts. So she designs and installs septic systems. Does everyone here know what a septic system is? You don't know what a septic system is? Okay, when you can't have plumbing to your house, right, you have to have a pit, gigantic pit, and all the stuff flushes into there and drains into the ground if you're successful. That's her responsibility to make sure that it will work and install it. But she's telling me many times that she tells the people who are working for her, the people who do the perk tests and actually do the construction with the backhoes and this and that, if I catch you on the cell phone, you're fired. The client's paying me and I'm paying you, to do the work, not to be on your cell phone talking to people or playing video games or whatever. Right? So in this way, in Kali Yuga, God bless the cell phone and the internet and all that, people spend so much of their time just being distracted. Because there's so much information out there, but it's useless. So Prabhupada's making the point here about important questions and seeking the proper authority for the right answers. And of course, everyone has their opinion, right? And they consider it very important, the opinion of the common man, right? Sometimes the news stations will go out, there's some kind of catastrophe or something going on, or it's the election year, right? And they'll approach just ordinary people on the street with a microphone and say, what's your opinion? What should we do in Israel and Gaza right now? Now, what is your qualification for answering that question? Do you have any qualification in international, affairs and law and politics? I saw it on TV. Can anyone in this room really answer what we should do authoritatively in a situation like that? We can't even have time to answer authoritatively what we should eat for breakfast. You got to ask her. She's a nutritionist. Ask her. Ask Mahārāja what we should be eating. because she's an authority. You know, authority, I was told the word means, you can look it up, means one who expands, you know, expands your growth and so on. That's what authority is supposed to do, not push you down. So an authoritative answer on important questions, we have to get the right person. Right? That otherwise it's a complete waste. And that was a verse, not Tadvidhi Panipatina. Where's Ebagacha? What is that? That other verse about you must approach a spiritual master. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta, right? Prabhupada talked about that, and he says the word is you must. You have to, and that person is Nishthatam, and gives the qualifications, who the spiritual master is. That's who you're supposed to approach. And of course, Tadvidhi Pranipatina. If you want to know the truth, approach a bona fide spiritual master, one who knows the truth. Tattvadarshi. And how do you approach them? In a challenging mood? No. Pranipatina. You're very, very humble. Humble inquiry and sevaya. There's got to be some service. What does that service do for us? When we serve the spiritual authorities, how does it help us? It makes the heart receptive. It's not that, they don't have time to do the laundry, so you do it, or something like that. No. The menial service is very, very, it makes the heart perceptive, like that. So it's very, very important. So here, Yudhiṣṭhira is very intelligent, and he's asking, because it seems quite is it the word conundrum? How is it possible that those residents of the spiritual world who have completely spiritual bodies could land up in the material world in material bodies, the Jaya and Vijaya? And of course, previous this verse was, how were they cursed, and how can the Kumaras curse them, and all this? And of course, it's being brought out over and over again. This is the Lord's arrangement of Yoga Maya for a pastime. That's the reason. It's not easily perceived. And therefore, you have to approach someone of the caliber of Narada Muni, the great devotee of the Lord, to answer the questions. So, one has to be very, very careful who they approach for knowledge. So we're fortunate to be in the Parampara and have Srila Prabhupada as our founder Acharya, and that information there, because even amongst the followers of the Vedas, there's great misunderstanding. Right there in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about Veda Vadarata. You ever seen any Veda Vadaratas around? You know, if you know one, if you saw one? A Veda Vadarata? Okay. You know what a Veda Vadarata is? Okay. It's those who think the goal of all the Vedas is all going to heaven and all, going to heaven. And that's about 99% of all people who follow any religion. They want to go to some heavenly abode. That's the idea. I'm enjoying now, and I want to up it. I want to upgrade my enjoyment. So let me pray to God, and I will go at the time of death to heaven. So someone recently was saying about it's interesting how at funerals, no matter what the person was, they all say, "Oh, he's gone to a better place. He's gone to heaven." Doesn't matter who it is. Somehow or other, they died. And just because they died, everyone's gone, "Oh, he must have gone to heaven." Right? It's interesting. Very rarely do you have a negative eulogy, right? Very, very rarely do you have one. It's impolite to bring those things up. Okay. Do you want to hear a story about that? Can I tell you a story? Okay. I mean, it is a joke, but it's a story about that. Okay. Because we're talking about eulogies and so on. So anyways, it's a Jewish funeral. The rabbi's up there. And the person who passed away was actually a very, very greedy, nasty, horrible person. No one in the community liked him whatsoever. Mr. Schwartz. Okay? So he's in the casket, he's up there. Like you said, it's improper to say anything negative and so on. So the rabbi gives the sermon, and the casket's open. And he goes, "Before I close the casket, someone has to come and say something nice about Mr. Schwartz. Someone's got to say something nice." And then it's completely quiet. No one's going to come. No one's going to come. He said, then he gets a little louder. He says, "Before I close the casket, Someone's got to come and say something nice about Mr. Schwartz. Nothing. And he gets really upset. He said, we're not ending this funeral till someone comes up and says something nice about Mr. Schwartz. Then all of a sudden, there's a little rumble in the back of the room. And this man gets up. And he walks up, looks in the casket, turns around and says, his brother was worse. So it's true. You don't say anything negative about someone they pass away. Some other people think but everyone wants to go to heaven, enjoy. But how many people want to go back home, back to Godhead and understand the transcendental world? So we're very, very fortunate that we understand there's something more than being happy, trying to be happy in this material world. And going to heaven, everyone in heaven is trying to be happy too. It doesn't stop. This struggle for existence and happiness in the material world, it's everywhere, from the lower, middle, and higher planetary systems. And from the life of Indra, who's supposed to be the supreme enjoyer there, we can understand it's a very intense struggle. You got to worry about the demons taking over heaven and this and that, and gets in all kinds of trouble. So it never stops. It never stops. So the point being made here, so Narada Muni is explaining this very, very perfectly, what's actually going on, how Jaya and Vijaya have descended to this material world, because it's part of the Lord's pastimes. Ajo pisan aviyatma bhutanam ishwaro. So Krishna's saying he's unborn, but he comes to this material world, Atma Mayaya. Atma Maya. It's spiritual energy. He has nothing to do with this material world. And his devotees, when they come, they have nothing to do with this material world. Because Krishna comes, he brings his dham, he brings his abode. Vrindavan dham, Mayapur dham. All these different dhams, they descend for the Lord's pastimes, and they're filled with devotees. No devotees come. So when Lord Brahma, he was told that I will descend, Krishna said, I'll descend, and he sends some demigods to come and different residents of the spiritual world. They all came to participate in the Lord's pastimes. And then, when the pastimes were done, they all went back. They did their duty. Just as Jaya and Vijaya, they had 3 births to perform some seva, quite an interesting service to pick a fight with the Lord, but that was their service, and then they went back. And the residents of Ayodhya, they all went back, Lord Ram, right? Residents of, and there's a beautiful story in the Bhagavatam Mahatmya, that when Uddhava, after Krishna had left, I think it was Uddhava was requested to start speaking from the Bhagavatam in Vrindavan. And as he was speaking, many of the residents were there after Krishna left in the Bhagavatam class, and all of a sudden the residents started disappearing right in class, going back to Godhead. Now, isn't that a Bhagavatam class? Yes. Just right in front of everyone's eyes. They just were finishing, and they went back to Godhead. Isn't that amazing? So the point is, they come, but they're not coming like you and I. After Bhagavatam class, we wake up and go have breakfast, right? It's different. It's quite different than going back to Godhead. So we got to wake up and then, oh yeah, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So they're all residents of the spiritual world. Their coming and going is part of Krishna's pastimes. Ours is not. They're not forced to come. Krishna brings them because he's always with his devotees. Krishna's never alone, so he brings his devotees with him. And they're engaging in their pastimes with the Lord, and then when it's over, it's over. It's all to attract the devotees. Does Prabhupada come up with the expression traveling roadshow, or is that the devotees would say that? Like Krishna's pastimes to the material world? Okay, because they had the roadshow, the devotees. Like, comes to town, just like the circus comes to town, and they go through the town. They used to come through the town, have a parade, and attract all the people. out to the outskirts of the city or town where the circus was set up. So Krishna and his associates, they all come together, perform these pastimes, and everyone's attracted and engage in devotional service and go back home, back to Godhead. So this is why the devotees descend with the Lord, and it's all going on by Yoga Maya. So whenever Krishna descends, that means it's happening within the realm of Yoga Maya. And that includes the deities, the Archa Vigraha. Directly Krishna himself, and it is Yoga Maya. For the atheists, it's Mahamaya. What are they doing? Worshipping statues. Oh my goodness. For the devotees, here's Krishna directly, Sakshat. That's so. Prabhupada tells a story over and over again about Sakshi Gopal in regards to that. The two Brahmins, they were seeing Krishna. Yes, yeah, Krishna's going to come. Krishna's going to come and bear witness. And the son of the older Brahmin was an atheist. He goes, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, you bring Krishna, because he's not going to come. He's convinced he can't come. It's a statue in Vrindavan. How can he come? But he came. So, and then Prabhupada speaks about this Sayuja Mukti. When living entities merge, if you want to use that word, merge into the Brahman, or go into the Brahman, it's partial liberation, Prabhupada says here. And in one conversation, Prabhupada says, they're already fallen. When we talk about the fall of the jiva, they don't fall from the spiritual world because he said it's already a fallen position. So from our philosophy, even attaining Brahman realization, it's a fallen position. Because you haven't attained the perfection of returning back home, back to Godhead. And therefore, Prabhupada says it is partial mukti. And because it's only partial, it doesn't last. Because the jiva wants something more than just being alone. Does anyone here get really frustrated and just want to be alone for a little while? Raise your hand. Yeah. But how long can you stay alone? Not very long, right? We naturally desire association. So they merge, and it's quite nice. You have a realization of sat, that you're eternal, and you have some knowledge, and what relief it is. But after a while, it's like, So, therefore, the verse's quote is, Yene Ravindakshi Muktimananas. They think they're liberated, but they're not really liberated because they fall down. They will fall down. Because they're in an unnatural position. They haven't taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. So they do fall down. They come back down, and they got to go back until they become Krishna conscious. So it's not a permanent position, Sayuja Mukti. It's actually a fallen position. Now there are many followers of the Vedas who would get all upset by this verse, because they're thinking that's perfection. To realize that I'm just a spiritual spark. You know? So, but authorities like Narada Muni, who know everything about spiritual life, they say, no, that's not true. And actually, this verse, is it the demigods praying, or is it Lord Brahma himself? This Yene Ravindaksha, the demigods, prayers by the demigods? Yeah, so they know what's going on. They're saying this verse too. It's not permanent. And one has to take shelter of your lotus feet. So. And then the end of the last paragraph, again, it's explaining what's going on. Jaya and Vijaya, they're sent to the material world. They didn't fall, they were sent. And everything was orchestrated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Many of the pastimes of the Lord, they do not make sense on this platform. How is this possible? But it's Krishna and his Yoga Maya, acting on a very elevated, what's the word? Inconceivable is the word I'm trying to think of. It's inconceivable what Krishna's doing, and that's just how he does things. We're very conceivable. It's like I said the other day in class, underwhelmed, right? The word was overwhelmed. So our lives are very underwhelming, aren't they? Right? In Kali Yuga, it's underwhelming, our lives. People, they're just, what is that verse? No, what is it? Lives of, I think Thoreau said it when he was seeing all the different farmers in New England and so on like that. Lives of toil and there's some famous line he had. In other words, just a life of struggle and toil, and there's nothing really. Quiet desperation, that's it. Thank you. I've got a scholar there. Quiet desperation. That's the material world. So Krishna's pastimes, there's no quiet desperation in Krishna's pastimes, right? It actually, every single pastime of the Lord is ecstatic. It's actually ecstatic. That's the nature of Krishna. Just like sometimes there's certain people you always want to invite to a party. They call them the life of the party. They're just always happy and jolly, and just amongst devotees, it'd be, nice kirtans, always telling wonderful stories and pastimes. You got to invite these devotees. Just say, they're an ecstatic devotee, right? So Krishna's that to the umpteenth degree. So whenever Krishna does anything, it's ecstatic. Even killing demons, right? Chopping off their heads and this and that, and you read these pastimes, whatever he's doing, it's just ecstatic. Krishna's ecstatic. And that's how he reciprocates with every single devotee and every single living entity. So, Krishna's devising, and we'll be reading the whole pastime, these are 3 ecstatic pastimes of the Lord. And Jaya and Vijaya had the great fortune of joining the Lord in playing, what do they call that? Lead parts, right? It's a play. And they got the lead parts, right? You're invited to be in a drama. We're going to do Jagai and Madai, right? Right? And you want to be Jagai and Madai, right? But I think these two would be better Jagai Madais right here. They look at them, and you get all upset. I wanted that lead role. I really wanted to be drunk and this and that and fall all over the place and scream and yell and throw that pot at Nityananda. But I think these two would be better. Saying, they got the lead role. But Jaya and Vijaya got the lead role in 3 different pastimes, 4 sometimes, because they actually came as Jagai Madai. So the lead role in the Lord's pastimes is a coveted position. It's wonderful and ecstatic. So they were what?
They were foil. Foil is a personal thing that makes another thing better by contrast. I think Krishna's the lead.
Well, Krishna is the lead, but you know what I'm saying, as far as assisting him. So I guess they're lead foils.
In a play or a movie,
Yeah.
foil is the one who combats the hero and makes us really good.
Right. Well, they got the top foil. They were the top foils in the play. I mean, there's Krishna. Top billing is Krishna, right? Right? Varaha. Then we got the Shingadev, Lord Ram. And then right on third, Jaya and Vijaya starring as, right? So, that's pretty good. Because look at there's hundreds and thousands of devotees in those pastimes. But they were moved right up there. Amazing. So very fortunate. So we can end here. Are there any questions or comments on anything that was covered? Microphones?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for very nice class.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were coming from outside.
In the closet. He thought you were in the closet. Go ahead. Question or comment?
So I just want you to confirm what I got from this purport. So is it like no soul falls from Vaikuntha? They just come for the pastime of the Lord? Does the purport mean that? And the souls which fall down are from Brahmajyoti?
Okay. I'll do it very, very succinctly. And to back all this up, as Dravida pointed out yesterday in the beginning of class, he has volumes and volumes of publications to elaborate on this point. We're all originally Krishna conscious with Krishna, and we've left that, okay? And this particular pastime is explaining that the Lord sometimes will take his associates with him personally to this world for pastimes. They didn't make a mistake or anything. He's just taking them with him. Please come with me. We're going to have a pastime together. That's one way the jiva can leave the spiritual world. Another is to fall because free will, and one explanation is, our free will, we all have this free will, it's not a material quality. Because sometimes the question is, well, how can matter exist in the spiritual world? Anything material, a material desire? Well, our free will is not a material thing. Then we misuse it, and then we can become touched by the material energy. So originally we're all Krishna conscious, we can fall. These devotees, they come part of the Lord's pastimes. Those in the Brahma Jyoti, they're also going to fall. Because according to this verse, they can't stay there because they don't have shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. So that's another type of falling. They didn't make it all the way, and it's not enough. They eventually have to come back down. So I hope that answers it in a nutshell.
Yes, that answers it. Thank you.
Okay.
I was going to say that this is the Gajendra in the room. You ever hear about it with the elephant in the room? Because this last sentence here, which is always something that, it's like the punchline for the no-fall vadis. Otherwise, it is a fact that no one falls from Vaikuntha.
Right.
And so I was thinking, well, okay, what mission did we have? Were we sent for a mission from Krishna? I mean, this is the counter argument, is that, well, okay, there's no fall. There's no fall. We didn't. How did we fall? Do we have a special mission? Does each one here? What is your special mission, Prabhu, that Krishna sent you down here? So the question is, how do we reconcile this with Prabhupada's, go back home, back to Godhead? And the only thing I can refer to is the Crow and Tal letter, which is like always definitive, because it contains the money quote. Formerly we were with Krishna in his lila or sport. Then that's a fall, if formerly we were with him. But Prabhupada presents it there that actually no one falls, we just kind of fall asleep. We're dreaming. And we're in the material world, but we're actually just unconscious. It's really, everything is the spiritual world. It's all Krishna's construction. So otherwise, because this whole thing that we had a special mission, if you come down here, there's awful lot of us here, and it doesn't look like we have a special mission. to provide subjects so that Lord Chaitanya can deliver them with the Hare Krishna mantra. Maybe that's our mission. Anyway, it is kind of puzzling the way Prabhupada is very adamant here that no one falls. They're sent for special mission. That's what solves the riddle here that Yudhiṣṭhira is puzzled by. But it doesn't solve the riddle at how we got here. But Vijay is going to do it. Are you Jai?
I got comments too. I'm in line.
Maitreya? Do you want to speak?
Well, there is one purport where when there was a letter, someone asked Prabhupada directly about this question, and Prabhupada says, the question was, did we ever see Krishna? And Prabhupada's answer wasn't very satisfying to me. He said, yes, we saw Krishna just like every child has seen the Father, but that's not actually true. There's lots of fathers who have never seen their children, and that just because you're someone's child doesn't mean you've actually seen your father. Prabhupada says, but we don't remember because we were in a stage called Shushupti. So that is almost, in my mind, as good as not having been in a Leela with Krishna and having simply been injected into the material energy in almost a sleeping state. You get like one chance. Are you going to go for Maya or go for Krishna? You went for Maya. All right, that's it. Eternally conditioned. And there's actually places in the Jaya Dharma and others where it says some souls are directly, their existence begins by this Leela of being delivered, and we were never in a Leela with Krishna. I always thought if you're in a place called Vaikuntha and you see your friends disappearing and falling down, how is that Vaikuntha anymore? I never really understood that idea. I like the idea much better that nobody falls from the spiritual world, and that's why it's so wonderful that everyone's there eternally enjoying with Krishna. Why would anyone ever leave that situation? But I wanted to talk about just briefly, you mentioned this, the other religions, they have this idea that we're in a bad place now, we're going to go to a good place. And neophyte devotees are very much in that category also. They're not going to the spiritual world right away.
All religions.
Yeah, all religions, including ours. Neophyte devotees in temples are thinking just the same way as Christians who want to go to heaven are thinking. It takes some purification to want to serve Krishna and have that be the motivation. And in the meantime, then you're actually going to the spiritual world because it's not a real estate problem, it's a consciousness problem.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Nice class, thank you. In the next verse, we're going to hear a purport. from Madhvacharya, where he says, talking about the residents of Vaikuntha, before their liberation to Vaikuntha Loka, they possess material bodies. Everybody in Vaikuntha. So Prabhupada said we were originally Krishna conscious. And Prabhupada doesn't say in this purport that you read today that we never fall from Krishna Loka. It says we never fall from Vaikuntha. And here it says that everyone in Vaikuntha had material bodies previously. So you put them all together, we fell from Krishna Loka, right? Prabhupada said, as we just heard from Maitreya, that Prabhupada said, yes, we saw Krishna, we were with Krishna. We fell from Krishna Loka to the material world and were elevated to Vaikuntha, and therefore they can't fall from Vaikuntha because they had already been in the material world. And Prabhupada says, Krishna says that once having come back, you never fall again. So you put all this together, and it's actually, I mean, it's not difficult to understand. We were with Krishna, we fell down, came to the material world. Some went to Vaikuntha, some went back to Krishna Loka. So having gone back to Vaikuntha, you can't fall again. Therefore, Prabhupada says, they cannot fall from Vaikuntha because they were already in the material world. As it says here, they had material bodies previously. What do you think? I mean, it all makes sense then. You can't fall from Vaikuntha because you've already been to the material world.
But Goloka is a Vaikuntha planet. It's
No. Vaikuntha and Goloka Vrindavan are different.
but Goloka, I can find that Goloka is the supreme Vaikuntha planet.
They say, well, Prabhupada says different things. Vaikuntha and Goloka. What's the difference between Vaikuntha and Goloka Vrindavan? Vaikuntha, there's awe and reverence. In Goloka Vrindavan, there's
But he says about
intimacy.
In the material world, formerly we were with Krishna in his Leela or sport. Is that Vaikuntha? That's Goloka.
That's Goloka Vrindavan. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So how do we get here? Formerly we.
Yeah. We were with Krishna. We became envious of Krishna. We came to the material world.
There are some ISKCON devotees, like myself, who have been through the whole process, who don't accept that. I don't accept that I was in Krishna Leela and then I left Krishna Leela. No, I just don't accept that people leave Golok Vrindavan. I never will accept that.
But Prabhupada said we were originally Krishna conscious.
Yeah, I know Prabhupada said that, and the term back to Godhead, by the way, was not Srila Prabhupada. That's a Presbyterian minister. Prabhupada co-opted that. He liked it for his magazine. It means turning back to religious principles. It's not a real estate affair.
If we could just stop for one moment and see if there's any questions because of the time. I don't mind maybe another topic, because this topic will go on forever, which is okay. Vaishnavas always are discussing two different things, Guru Tattva and the fall of the Jiva perpetually.
Wow. That was my question, the Guru Tattva question. You mentioned to approach your gurus like kind of submissively, and but in some instances in Guru Leela, there's like some pastimes, I guess, where they challenge, I forgot, you just told me the name kind of a moment ago, but anyways, when they lost the debate, they surrendered unto the guru, and they take full shelter, but they're in a challenging mood. So my question is, how does the disciple come back to the guru life after life? How does one know, it's like, okay, this is again my spiritual master, in a sense, if it makes sense.
I don't understand what you're trying to say. There's two things about challenging and surrendering and Krishna Leela, Gauranga Leela, and then also how do you know your spiritual master was your spiritual master in the previous life?
Yeah, exactly. That's
okay. Krishna will reveal all that to you. Don't worry. He's not going to have a photo album with him and say, oh, your last life, remember this? You were, but Krishna will reveal all that to you. And the Guru comes in many different forms. Like that. But the Prabhupada said the relationship is eternal, and the Guru will always, and that's what he would tell his disciples, tell all of us, don't make me come back and get you. So the Guru will It's his responsibility to deliver the fallen, his those who are surrendered to him, and whatever it takes. So, faith in the words, but Krishna will reveal all that to you.
Thank you.
But you don't have to ask a bunch of questions. Were you? Because we don't remember our previous lives either. But Krishna will reveal all that to us. Yes. Is this a different topic?
No.
Good. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you for the class. My question about topic which you mentioned, maybe not too much, but you said real Srimad Bhagavatam, then after Srimad Bhagavatam we understand our position and go to spiritual world. But we wake up and go to prasad room.
Oh, after class. Okay.
And so the question, what quality or qualification should be to listen in a proper way, not to sleep?
Okay, very good. Well, one thing is get a good night's sleep. Right? Even the best of most sincere devotees, if you don't get a good night's sleep, you're too tired. So get a good night's sleep. And that's a whole topic. How do you get a good night's sleep? How do you get up early? Go to bed early. Don't eat at night. Well, you get a good night's sleep, so you're refreshed. Should be refreshed. The morning is the most important part of the day, so you got to plan. You got to make a plan that for that most important part of the day, I'm on. Okay? That's not funny. You got to be on. Most important thing. Just like if you're in a car and you're driving, is that an important time to be alert? It's one thing if you're in the passenger seat, but if you're driving, you better be on. Okay? So morning program, morning, Brahma Muhurta, all the way through. You got to do what you got to do to be refreshed and full of energy, because that you make most of your advancement is the most important time of the day. And then one has to be inquisitive and want to learn. That's true with any class, material or spiritual. You really want to learn something, Once comes to class, and what can I learn today? That's why very intelligent devotees are taking notes like that. What can I learn? What can I learn? What can I get from this class? Like that. So, because hearing, you become what you hear about. Did you ever hear that? Did you know that you become what you hear about? So if you hear during class, that's what you become. But if you hear Om Namo Bhagavate, so we become what we hear about. So in hearing means, what's that verse in this first purport in the first canto about one has to be, to hear properly, one has to be pure in their activities of eating, sleeping, and this, one has to be, there's ways to make yourself able to hear, and you have to be pure in your activities, and it's an art how to and to hear properly. And if you want to hear something, if you don't want to hear it, just like two people are talking, like Mogalila, he is now the temple commander, right? So he goes up to Saul, and Saul doesn't really want to hear him tell him anything. So he's talking to Saul, but you can see in Saul's face that he doesn't. He's like, he's not listening. He doesn't want it. I don't want to hear it. He's not going to say it to his face, but I don't want to hear this. But you want to hear it. Prabhu, thank you very much. And it's like it's called like flowing of nectar in the ears. Sometimes it's referred to that. You want to fill your ears with the nectar of Krishna Katha. You're anxious, and you're feeling something. The more you feel, just like who's cooking breakfast today? Okay, very nice. You make some very delicious things at times, right? So you sit down, oh, this is very tasty. Can I have another one? Oh, can I have a third one? Because it's very delicious. So the same way with Krishna consciousness, more. Because you have a ruchi taste. But the first thing is to be intelligent, well-rested, and a desire to hear and understand, knowing that by hearing the Bhagavatam, we will quickly become Krishna conscious. It's the Bhagavatam. It's none different from Krishna. So just a few adjustments like that, and then all of a sudden, it's not a mundane adjustment anymore. You're very just enthusiastic and enlivened because you're feeling Krishna's presence. I hope that helps. Is that a good enough answer for now? Okay, I think we can end. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jaya.